All right. Hey, folks. So today I want to speak about unilateral movements. So I want to give you three options on how best to execute a single arm or single leg exercise. And you guys can decide what's best for you. I will give you what my recommendation is. So before we get into that, if you are interested in coaching, there's a link in the description. Otherwise, do all the usual good YouTube stuff, which you guys have been amazing with recently. And that is like the video, drop a comment, subscribe if you haven't done so already. So first of all, unilateral exercises. Now, I think they're useful. Okay? They're good for variation, just like you would have any useful exercise variation. So now in terms of where you might use unilateral exercises, I think the most useful ones that I've found have been pulling and also leg movements. Now, there is a niche utility for smaller body parts like biceps, triceps, especially if you're trying to improve those areas if there've been a weakness in the past. So I want to speak today mainly about how to do them correctly. So I think there are three different ways, right? The first way is the safe way. So let's say you're doing a one-arm row. You start with your weaker side, say your left side, and you get as many reps as possible. Let's say you get 12 reps. Now, you rest for an appropriate amount of time, 1 or 2 minutes, and then you do your other arm, which is your stronger arm. And all you do is you match your reps to the weaker side. So the benefit here is you're getting more stimulus for your weaker side, right? So the idea is if we're trying to address imbalances, if we're trying to even out weak sides, we get more stimulus for a weak side and proportionately less stimulus for the strong side, in the hopes that over time we will do our best to address imbalances. Now, the negative to that is I just don't know how much of a difference it makes. I very rarely did unilateral exercises when I was powerlifting. Do you know what helped my weaknesses on side to side? Just getting bigger. That's what helped. Just getting bigger. So I honestly don't know how well that actually works in practice. It might work for some, but in general, I find just getting bigger helps. And you might respond by saying, "Well, Faz, I did a lot of this type of work, and I've evened out my imbalances." But how do you know? How do you know it wasn't just you getting bigger overall? Because that was my experience, not doing any unilateral exercise when I was powerlifting, and as I just grew bigger and bigger, everything just kind of naturally evened itself out. Size helps, right? So that's the safe way. Those are the pros. Those are the cons. But I think that's the more common way which people will generally do it. Now, the next way is what I refer to as the YOLO, right? You acknowledge that you're probably always going to have a weak side and you just push everything to the max. So doesn't matter what arm you start with, weak arm, strong arm, whatever, or weak leg, strong leg, whatever, just max it. Yeah. So let's say you're doing a unilateral leg press. You get 12 reps on your weak leg and you get 15 reps on your strong leg. That's it. You just run with it. Now, the benefits is you're getting good stimulus on both your strong and your weak side. That's a good thing. Most of us need to grow more. And as I say, I haven't necessarily seen a great deal of actual benefits to unilateral exercises in the long term, actual growth. So those things naturally just even out over time, but I don't think they can 100% be addressed. So yeah, the YOLO, the positive to that is you push both sides and we all need to get bigger, even me. Now, the negative to that is, I don't know, I guess you don't get the perceived benefit of the first way, the safe way, which I don't think is that valid anyway. So I don't think there are many negatives here. I think it's a pretty solid method. Just go YOLO, push both sides as hard as you can. Just try and get bigger overall, which I think, in my experience, helps. Now, the final way is what I've been doing, and I want to introduce you to this. This is, if the first way was a safe way, the middle way was the YOLO. This is the jacked intellectual. Okay, this is how I've been doing it. I think you should start with your stronger side. Let's say you're rowing, you start with your stronger side. Let's say you get 12 reps, knowing full well that your weaker side is not going to get 12. You get 12 reps, that's your benchmark. And what you do is, with your weaker arm, you match those 12 reps with the use of some type of intensity technique. So either rest pause, or forced reps. That way, you're getting good stimulus for both sides because the strong arm is being taken to failure or close. Now, the weak side, that's not only taken to failure or close, but actually beyond. So you're getting more stimulus proportionally than the stronger side. But at the same time, the stronger side isn't being left alone. It isn't being kept waiting with multiple reps in reserve. So that way, both sides get a good stimulus, but the weaker side gets an even better stimulus. So within the context of growth, that might possibly lead to accelerated growth in the weaker side. But at the very least, you're not going to get a detriment to the stronger side. So in summary, that's 3 different ways to work unilateral exercises. The first way, the safe way, to do maximum reps with your weaker arm and then simply match that with your stronger arm, leaving your stronger arm behind a little bit. Now, the second way is the YOLO. Just take both sides and push them both to the max. Whatever happens, happens. The third way, the jacked intellectual, this is the way that I personally prefer. That is, start with your stronger side, establish your reps with your stronger side, and then match that with your weaker side via the use of intensity techniques like rest pause or forced reps. The advantage of that final method is you get the best of both worlds. Each side is getting good stimulus. The weaker side is getting an even stronger stimulus. Currently, what I'm doing, you guys might have a different experience. You might want to do something else. Fine. It's just my suggestion. This is for me and for my clients. And any of you on the big wide world of YouTube can find that useful, great. Experiment with it. See what works for you. We all have to live our own journeys. So that's just my advice. Do with it what you will. Right, folks, I'm going to call it there. Peace out.